Morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 Step Up Kickoff event. We're so glad to have you here today to celebrate our 20 years of Step Up program and the impact that this program has had on the lives of over 31,000 Minneapolis youth since 2003. My name is Yakasah Wehyee, and I am the director of Step Up Level 2. And I'm delighted to be your event host this morning. And I am now going to turn it over to a great champion of the Step Up program, Mayor Jacob Frey, who will start us off with an official welcome from the city of Minneapolis. Thank you so much for being here, Mayor Frey.
Well, good morning, Yakasah. Thank you so much for hosting all of us and coordinating these details of the meeting. And welcome here to what is the 20th year now of this incredible Step Up internship program. So we are well beyond the point where Step Up interns have graduated, gone on to employment, been managing in that particular business. And we all know they've then started to hire Step Up interns themselves. So we've come to this beautiful full circle after over 31,000 paid internship programs at the city and throughout our city. It's something that I think we all hold near and dear to our hearts because it works. We have these incredible Step Up interns that come in on a daily basis. They work their tails off. They learn a new skill or a new craft. And then we're so appreciative of the businesses that have then been taking them in and getting great benefit from their work. You know, this is not the kind of thing where Step Up interns come in, they file some paperwork, they staple a few pieces of paper, and then they move on. No, they're getting this incredible opportunity, and they are benefiting so much. And I can speak directly to it because we have had Step Up interns in our office that contribute greatly to the policy conversations and the decisions that we're making. They contribute greatly to the work that happens on a daily basis in the city. There's so many examples of it. One of them that I was told about just recently is Jasmine Armstrong. Now, Jasmine worked in the elections department leading up to, I believe it was the August primaries of 2022. Obviously, it's probably the most critical part of our democracy is making sure that people can vote and vote fairly, and we can make sure as many people as possible throughout our city vote. We also have a long reputation here in Minneapolis that we want to uphold. We are the votingest city in the entire country. And Jasmine did such an amazing job. She learned a ton of information. She had a supervisor that cared deeply about her. And no question in my mind, she's going on to bigger and better things. And so this event today is going to highlight some of the awesome program alums that we've had throughout the years. And you'll see, your dentist could be a Step Up intern. Your lawyer is probably a Step Up intern. The person managing the restaurant when you go out to eat, it's a good chance they're a Step Up intern. They're all over the place. Step Up interns are taking over, and I think that is a really good thing. Not to mention, yesterday I signed our UNICEF USA Child Friendly Cities candidacy. We are one of 2 cities in the entire country right now. The other one is Houston, that's in line to become a truly child-friendly city based on a pretty stringent criteria. And this is a big part of it, creating opportunity and a bunch of opportunity for people who are out there that are doing such incredible work. And so Yakasah, again, thank you so much for having me. Thank you to all of the people that have been doing amazing work to get this project off the ground and keep it running now for over 20 years. RT, if you're on there, thank you for your big vision from the very beginning. And so, you know, let's get off and having a great 20th year. And with that, I have the great privilege here of handing off the virtual microphone to Ashley Grell, Step Up Manager of Employer Engagement with Achieve Twin Cities. Ashley, thank you so much for your work. Take it over.
Well, thanks so much, Mayor Frey. Yeah, I'll hand it back to Yakasah.
Oh, my apologies. Yakasah, thank you. We'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much for kicking things off with your generous remarks, Mayor Frey. We really do appreciate your continued support for the Step Up program. And once again, for anyone who may have joined us late, my name is Yakasah Wehyee, and I am the Director of Step Up Level 2 here at Achieve Twin Cities. And I want to echo Mayor Frey in saying that We are so excited that you could join us today to officially launch our 2023 Step Up Employer Recruitment Season. We have a great lineup of speakers today who will be sharing their perspectives on the power of Step Up for our young people, our employers, and our community as a whole. The first half of our program will focus on Step Up program updates and hearing from some of our most dedicated employer partners. And we'll then transition to hearing how Step Up is working to engage our program alums. And we'll hear from some amazing former Step Up interns who are now in the world doing amazing things. Today's speakers include Step Up co-chair Jonathan Weinhagen, who you also may know as the president and CEO of the Minneapolis Regional Chamber, along with Step Up former and longtime champion RT Rybak, our Step Up founder and longtime champion RT Rybak, who is also president and CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation. As we move forward, we want to encourage you to engage with our speakers by sharing your questions and perspectives in the Zoom chat. You'll see that we will also continue to be asking some questions of you, our audience. So please keep your eye on the chat. And we also ask that you keep your cameras and microphones off so that we can better see and hear our presenters. Please note that this event is being recorded. And now I want to turn it over to my colleague, Ashley Grell, who will share more about Step Up in our 2023 season. Ashley.
Thanks, Yakasah. It is now my turn. So good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ashley Grell, and I'm the Step Up Employer Engagement Manager. I'm excited to be here and share more about our program. Step Up was launched in 2003, so like Mayor Frey said, this is our 20th anniversary. Each year, Step Up connects hundreds of Minneapolis young people with Twin Cities employers. Step Up has two program levels. Level 1 serves young people who are 14 to 15 years old, and our level 2 program serves interns who are 16 to 21 years old. In 20 years, we have created over 31,000 paid career opportunities for Minneapolis youth, which has led to a more diverse, skilled, and equitable workforce. Each year, Step Up creates over 1,400 high-quality experiences thanks to hundreds of dedicated employers and strong partnerships between the City of Minneapolis, Achieve Twin Cities, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, and Project for Pride in Living. Step Up is one of the country's leading youth employment programs. Our vision is an equitable, inclusive community with sustainable careers and economic justice. We are creating a community where young people feel empowered to dream bigger by building their networks and getting a foot in the door at some of the best workplaces in the Twin Cities. We want to see this talent rise to the top and become the next senior managers, executives, directors, presidents, and CEOs. We know that the most successful workplaces are also the most diverse. Today, you will hear from some talented Step Up alums who have completed multiple Step Up internships across both levels of our program, utilized their networks, and are now out in the world doing amazing things. Our Step Up team works hard to make this vision a reality every single day. We spent the last 6 weeks recruiting hundreds of talented Minneapolis young people, and our application deadline was just yesterday. We now have almost 3,000 applicants who are excited to become Step Up participants. We train and prepare these young people for great summer career opportunities and use a one-to-one internship matching process that connects employers with the best interns for their positions. We know that successful internships require both intern and supervisor success, which is why we also provide supervisor training and resources that support our employers every step of the way, including job coaching over the summer. 3 years ago, in response to COVID-19, we began offering Step Up work readiness training virtually. We've learned a lot, and this summer we are excited to launch a brand new work readiness training platform called Career Edge. Career Edge is a leading workforce development software that has been used in many major cities like Detroit, LA, and Washington, DC. Our licensed Step Up teachers will now utilize this highly customizable platform to engage Step Up interns in a dynamic curriculum, which covers topics that range from resumes and cover letters to time management and career assessments. Our level 2 interns will have the opportunity to earn credit for this training. We will also offer our 5-week online Step Up career exploration program on the same platform, which is a paid virtual opportunity for students who want a more flexible summer career experience and for those who aren't matched to an internship. This program was created to provide more paid career experiences for young people in our community. In just the last couple of years, Step Up has truly evolved to include virtual training as well as in-person, virtual, and hybrid internships. As we look back on 20 years of Step Up, we know that a lot of things have changed since 2003. Our program has adapted, pivoted, and grown. Cameras and photo quality have improved, as you can see by these photos, and technology has become sleeker. People now stream music on their smartphones, and fashion seems to change every month. But the mission and values of the Step Up program remain the same. We continue to foster hope for the future by investing in the young people who are now our new generation of leaders and will power our communities for decades to come. 20 years from now, how will today's photos look to us then? What will our technology be like? What fads will have come and gone? While I don't know the answers to these questions, I do know that there will be hundreds of Minneapolis professionals telling stories about the impact of Step Up on their lives and careers. We want you to be part of those stories. So join us in 2023. We will be following up with everyone here today as we get closer to our employer deadline of March 31st. We will also be sharing other ways to get involved with our program, such as volunteering for our annual Step Up mock interviews and our Level 1 intern placement days. We want to give a special shout out and thank you to these companies that have already committed to providing Step Up internships this summer for both Level 1 and Level 2 on this and the following slide. Thank you so much. Our team stands ready to help you get started and work with you to provide an amazing experience for your company and our young people. We would also like to give kudos in bold that have been with us, or companies that have been with us since our founding in 2003. 20 years is an incredible commitment to Step Up and our young people. These founding employers include Allina Health, City of Minneapolis, Graco, Hennepin County, Minneapolis Public Schools, Minneapolis Regional Chamber, Target, US Bank, University of Minnesota, and Xcel Energy. It's truly inspiring to have this long-standing support from such pillars in our Twin Cities community. Thank you. We look forward to partnering with you again in 2023.
Thank you, Ashley. And now I am honored to introduce our employer panel moderator, Shamayne Braman. Shamayne is the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer at Sonos Inc., and also serves as Vice Chair of the Achieve Twin Cities Board of Directors. Shamayne has been a leader in diversity and inclusion for many years, including experience as former Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Target, where her work led Target to advance DEI priorities and goals at every level. Welcome, Shamayne.
Thank you so much. I am so glad to be here and to be moderating this panel and this conversation. I am really looking forward to this conversation today. We have an exceptional group of leaders and colleagues here in the Twin Cities to share their insights with us. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say and learning from them this morning. I want to just reiterate what was shared earlier. As you have questions, as you have thoughts, please feel free to put them in the chat so that we can make this a two-way conversation and keep you engaged throughout. So please don't hesitate to share what you're thinking, and to the best of my ability, I'll try to incorporate that into this morning's panel conversation as well. Let me first introduce the incredible group of panelists that we have, and then we'll delve right into the conversation. So first we have James Burroughs, who is a dear friend and colleague, but he is also the Senior Vice President of Government and Community Relations and the Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer at Children's Minnesota. And Children's Minnesota has hosted over 100 Step Up interns since 2006. Since October 2021, the shortage of jobs in the metro area has remained consistent, with many critical healthcare occupations showing a great shortage of talent. And so James's role has been incredibly important because he's been vital in working to create more diversity within Children's Minnesota with an eye to filling some of those talent shortages. The second panelist that we have is Reba Dominski, who is an Executive Vice President and Chief Social Responsibility Officer at US Bank. US Bank has hosted over 530 Step Up interns since the program began in 2003, more than any other private sector Step Up employer. Reba has been key to overseeing US Bank's commitment to closing racial wealth gaps and to creating greater financial wellness, which are two critical goals for Step Up. So we appreciate the work and the role that you've played there, Reba. And then finally, we have Scott Cummings, who is the Minnesota market lead at Accenture. Accenture has, similar to Children's Minnesota, hosted over 100 step-up interns since 2013 and has focused on changing the work environment and particularly the role of technology in facilitating these changes. Scott has provided exceptional leadership, particularly during COVID-19, where he worked to create innovative strategies and partnerships, including an online learning experience, increasing the number of paid opportunities at Accenture for step-up interns, and earning him the Achieve Twin Cities 2021 Innovation Award. So we have a group of wonderful colleagues here to share their insights, and I'm looking forward to the discussion with each of you. So welcome, and thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with us this morning. Scott, I'd love to start with you. Given the role that you're in, it's likely that you sort of see the ways in which the workplace is changing and are monitoring and thinking about that. Can you share with us some of the greatest changes in workforce needs that you are observing and how Step Up is helping or can help to address some of those needs?
Sure. Good question. As I think about it, I think one of the greatest changes that I think is broad, but I'm seeing too, is that the need for technology skills. I kind of think about jobs as all jobs are technology jobs. Either you're developing the technology or you're a user of some sort of technology. Even if you're in a plant, you're in an office, you're using tech in some way. And, I think recently we've heard, that more and more jobs include AI, there's automation, augmentation. And I think I think the good news here is that Step Up is developing a workforce of learners. And that's what we need, those who can adapt and learn the next new thing. And Step Up internships are exposing our youth to all of these new things. I think there's I think the other thing that that we should be aware of and thoughtful of is are we being inclusive in how we source our talent, and are we finding the right jobs for the youth? I think most of them are now digital natives, and so we're probably going to learn as much from them as they are from us. So I think that's the kind of fun news.
I love that. Sue, who made a comment in the chat, had the same thought that I did about sort of just that important mindset around lifelong learning, particularly as technology is constantly changing. And I think what's interesting about that is it can be really tempting as technology becomes increasingly important for companies to sort of look elsewhere. Where can I find immediate expertise as opposed to that mindset around lifelong learning? And so my next question is for you, Reba. I'd love for you to perhaps provide some context for us around why it's so important for businesses to have employers that reflect the communities that they serve, as opposed to perhaps focusing only on places where they might look elsewhere, but rather really looking to the communities that surround them.
Sure. Well, first of all, Shamayne, it's great to see you. It's always a pleasure to share a stage with James and Scott. Scott, you missed the memo on black turtlenecks being the outfit of the day, but that's okay. And I'll greet everyone with a traditional Indian greeting, which is Namaste. And roughly translated, that means the inner divine light in me honors and welcomes the inner divine light in all of you. So this question that you asked me, Shamayne, about representation is a really great one. And I think it's important that we have people that look like the communities they serve, because representation really matters. I'm an Indian woman. And knowing that there's an Indian woman on the managing committee of US Bank shows me that I can get there. And in most of our businesses, certainly in banking, but in all of our businesses, trust is absolutely essential. So it's kind of human nature that you feel more comfortable. You have greater trust when you're working with someone who shares your background, someone who shares your lived experience, someone that you can connect with, someone that you can relate to. So the example I'll give you in banking is that we have a partnership with an organization called Operation Hope. And that includes this program called Hope Inside. And Hope Inside supports individuals and small business owners with personalized coaching with financial education. Now, the thing that's incredible about Operation Hope is they get pretty amazing results with clients. In the last year, they've improved client credit scores by over 42 points. That's a really big deal. They've increased their savings by 72%, reduced debt by 43%. And the main reason for their success is because we hire coaches who live and are active in the community that they serve, their neighbors and their friends. So when someone perhaps hasn't come into a bank to talk about their credit score, when their friend is sitting at the window of the bank and they say, hey, Mrs. Jones, come on in, that really matters. So it's essential for us to look like the communities we serve for all of those reasons. Representation matters and trust really matters.
I'm sitting with that expression, that phrase, that idea of come on in. And I feel like that has like meaning in so many ways. So really appreciate you sharing that. It's one thing to think about representation as a reflection of the communities that we serve and the ways in which it matters. But James, as I come to you with this next question, I'd love for you to add a little bit of insight for us around how do you see Step Up not only helping to shape that conversation around representation as employers work to reflect the communities in which they're operating, but also as a solution to critical business needs, so particularly the talent shortage that we're seeing in businesses like healthcare?
Great question, Shamayne, and glad to be on this amazing panel with my friends here as well. It's a business imperative for simple reasons for us. Health equity is about giving the greatest health care we can to everybody that we serve. And we have not been doing that as a hospital system and healthcare in general nationwide to our underserved Black, Latino, Asian, and Native peoples. And the reason for that is we haven't had the people in our service area, our nurses, our doctors, our clinicians, who look like the people that we serve, who understand the people that we serve, who can better relate to and say, come on in and talk to you about your healthcare and your healthcare needs about the people that we serve. So for us, health equity needs to be changed because we're going to be able to serve people who look like the people that we're hiring. And also, too, it'll help changing medical outcomes. If people didn't know this, a lot of times, unfortunately and tragically, Black women especially are not served very well when they have birthing babies. And that has been not only for those who have resources and money, but those who don't have resources and money. So it's about a racial issue and an issue that we're not listening to their client or customers. So having Step Up interns who are from diverse backgrounds, having those who get interested in healthcare will help us serve those needs. And also too, those future parents, future moms, future dads, future caregivers of children will be able to say, okay, you know what, I can bring my child confidently to Children's of Minnesota, where they're going to serve the needs of my family as a whole, and I can bring my full self and full family. We also have not only interpreters, we have spiritual care from diverse religious backgrounds, and we have folks that are learning about more so inclusive leadership as well. So it's a straight business imperative for us, and Step Up helps us manage that imperative and get the people in that we need to for that future workforce.
I appreciate you contextualizing that and bringing some data into the conversation around what you're seeing in your business and how Step Up connects to that. So thank you, James, for doing that. The next question, I think, is very similar, but I'd love for each of you to kind of put it in the context of the various businesses that you're in. So I want to shift gears a little bit to talk about the ways in which Step Up supports and empowers young people. So I'd love for each of you to think about, and we can maybe start with you again, Scott, and come back to Reba and then James. Why do you think it's so important for us to invest in young people in this way? So whether it is through the mentorship relationships that they build in Step Up or other ways in which they're empowered or being prepared to thrive in the workplace, why is this an important investment for employers to make in our youth and our young people? Scott, maybe you can kick us off with that.
Sure. I think I'd echo James's comment of it's really a business imperative. You know, this is our future workforce, and we need to invest in them because they're going to be working for us, if not when they graduate high school, in a couple years after community college, or potentially in 4 years after they graduate college. And you know, the more that we invest in them now, the more that we're going to get back. You know, so I kind of view this as something that we have to do.
Thanks, Scott. Reba, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It is a business imperative. It is essential. And I don't know about all of you, but I've always known this to be true. Recently, it has become even more clear to me that the most important job that I have, that the other senior leaders at US Bank, that most of our senior leaders across companies at the Twin Cities have, is talent. It's attracting talent, recruiting talent, supporting, coaching, retaining, empowering talent. And Step Up is just this incredible source of talent that will make sure that we continue to drive an inclusive, a sustainable, a transformative level of growth for our companies, also for our region and our economy. So that's why we work really hard to bring so many Step Up interns in. We work really hard to create a culture where people know that they belong, their voices matter, and their ideas are valued. And I think, as someone else has mentioned, we often, as the employer, learn more from our Step Up interns than in some cases that they learn from us. They are really helping shape the culture of our companies as we move into the future.
Before you answered, before you share your thought, James, I just want to jump in really quickly and just dig in a little deeper to this idea of we learn as much from the young people as they learn from us, because I think we're all hearing that this is certainly a business imperative. I'd love, as we're thinking about sort of why this is important in terms of empowering our young people, can you share some insights around, like, what do you see young people learn, like what skills or do you see them taking out of this experience? And then what kinds of things do you see employers or managers learning from the young people who are participating in these programs, just as we think about how we're preparing them to thrive in the workforce in the future?
So I'll start with the skills piece. The one I've seen our interns take most is communication. So how to communicate your ideas, your thoughts, your skills, your talents, your abilities, your, the way that you interact with people. Because a lot of times you can be very smart and not get your ideas across, and you won't be as successful in any corporate setting, healthcare setting as well. So we've been able to work with our interns on that communication, and they've learned that skill and gotten better at it. In addition to that skill, they've also learned how to communicate better with community. We have a component at the end of our program that takes them out in the community and they meet different community members. So this year they got a chance to meet Tito Wilson, who's a barber in North Minneapolis, but he also has a scholarship program. He does healthcare events. He's a community leader, community brand. We took our interns there to meet him and learn about the importance of giving back to community as well as a learning for them as well about this importance of that. How do our staff learn? A lot of times our staff, our medical staff is still about 90% majority white. And if they haven't interacted with people of color, they haven't interacted with students of color, they don't know what they don't know. And a lot of times the assumptions and biases we have, if the only time you see a young person of color on TV is doing a shooting on one of the news stations or doing some violent act or something like that, that's the bias that the lens you have. They're now seeing young people who are smart, intelligent, brilliant, doing great work, and they're learning about, man, I had these presumptions all wrong. And also too, it gets rid of the word I even hate saying, that people say they can't find anybody. But if you look at Step Up, 80%, 70% of our students are students of color. So you can't say you can't find anybody anymore. You got a pipeline right here. And one more shout out real quick, Shamayne. Jeremiah Brown is just amazing. I recatalyzed the Step Up program 4 years ago when I started here. In about a month and a half, I had no interns because I said to my boss, hey, I'm gonna start this internship program. I turned to Achieve because I worked at Minneapolis Public Schools before and said, help me please get some interns. They helped me get some interns in a short period. We had 8 that year, all total interns, about two from Step Up. Now we're gonna have 4 from Step Up, and we have 20 interns in our entire youth program as well. So thank you, shout out for all the hard work you do, JB. I appreciate that.
Thank you all for sharing those thoughts, and I echo the shout out to Jeremiah. He is incredible in the work that he does, so appreciate that recognition there. Okay, my last question, and I'd love to hear from all of you. Maybe we'll start with you, Reba, this time, and then James, and then Scott. Step Up's vision is to support, an equitable and inclusive community with sustainable careers and economic justice. But we know, particularly over the last few years, that we have work to do here in the Twin Cities community. So would love thoughts as we sort of widen the aperture beyond Step Up. What do you think our community needs to realize this vision? So Reba, would love to start with your thoughts.
Wow, that's a big question. I think there's a lot of work our community needs to do, and James and I were both involved in starting an organization called the Minnesota Business, James, the MBCRE, the Minnesota Business
Coalition for Racial Equity.
For Racial Equity, thank you, MBCRE. And we started that with the intent that after the murder of George Floyd, all of these businesses were reaching out to each other. James and I were talking with Greg Cunningham, our Chief Diversity Officer, and we were saying, what should we be doing differently? And I think that is the challenge. What we have been doing for many years the same way is not getting the kind of results that we are striving for. And I think essential to that is something that James mentioned, which is listening to and learning from and trusting the community to tell us what it needs. And that involves, as leaders, as corporate leaders, relinquishing some power, letting go of some control to say, we actually may not know what is right or what is best. We need to turn to the community and say, and often they do know, what is it that we should be doing better or differently? And then we have to step up with the resources that we have, both human and financial, and support what the community is telling us that they need. So I think there's a lot of change that needs to happen. And at the base of it, especially in the work that I do in philanthropy, is this idea of listening and trusting the community.
And just to reiterate on that, organizations like MBCRE, which also Accenture is a major part of as well. Scott has done some major work there with their Black ERGs and supporting that work. Allow us to connect these young people to people who look like them, who are maybe a bit more mature in their careers around the work around justice. We can't ignore the Mirlocks of the world. We can't ignore the George Floyds. We can't ignore the Dante Wrights. But we have to create a forum by which to talk about and communicate that with young people. And we can't forget about the D. Hills, the North High football player who was shot and killed just leaving the school, because our young people are hurting in that area, but they want their voice to be heard and they want to be part of the solution. And what I've learned is we can do a lot more by just being quiet and listening to our young people than always trying to tell them what we did, how we did it, how we can get through it, because the environment they live in is much different than ours. So what we've learned is at the end of the summer, it's real cool, our interns get a chance to present to our CEO and myself about ideas they have for making children a more equitable and just place. And they get a chance to create their own ideas. They can do a PowerPoint if they want to, they can do whatever kind of presentation, but we listen to them and hear from them about how we can make this a better place. But we can't run and hide from the things that have happened in the Twin Cities over the last several years, but our young people want to be a catalyst for solutions around that as well.
It's tough to build on those things, but I think the concept that I'd add is, can all of us as employers be more inclusive in our hiring? Can we look at, our job recs? Are there things in there that screen great talent out just because they haven't had the same opportunity as someone else? Are we as employers looking for talent everywhere that we should be, or are we all just going to the same 4-year college that we've always hired from? Are we looking for talent coming out of high school, coming out of community colleges? Because I think oftentimes the talent is out there, but the opportunity has not been. And how can we as employers be more thoughtful and inclusive of finding the great talent that may not have had the same opportunities?
I love those thoughts. I feel like I'm taking away, the sense that this work takes, a spirit of humility, the courage to be willing to listen, ownership of the power that we have as employers to examine our practices, whether those are our talent practices, our hiring practices, or processes that allow us to widen our aperture and invite more folks into our spaces so that we can learn from them and improve together. Thank you all so much for sharing your insights with us this morning, for all that you have offered, and for all that you do to continue to bring incredible young people into your organizations as well. For those of you listening, I hope that if you are on the fence about participating in Step Up, that this conversation has been inspiring for you. And for those of you who are already engaged as employers, I hope that this encourages you to continue to stay engaged and deepen your participation even further. So I will turn things back over to, I will say Ashley, but I might be wrong. But I appreciate the conversation this morning. Thanks all.
Thank you so much, Shamayne. And thanks again to our wonderful panelists for sharing your experiences with us. Next, I am so delighted to introduce our colleague, Tammy Dickinson, the Director of Step Up for the City of Minneapolis. Tammy will share some exciting information about Step Up Alumni Program, and we're excited to hear what Tammy has to share. Thank you, Tammy.
Good morning. Thanks, Yakasah. It is so great to be here and to be in the room, virtual room with all of you. Glad to see so many employers engaged, and I'm so excited to see our alumni panel shortly. So first of all, I just want to say my thanks to Ashley Grell and the team at Achieve for putting this event together. It's a lot of work, and it brings together all the right people in the room. So as Yakasah mentioned, I'm Tammy Dickinson. I lead the Step Up program for the city of Minneapolis. I am so happy every day to come to work and do this work. It's amazing. And it can't be done without all of you, of course. So I just want to talk briefly about something that's extremely important to the Step Up partnership, and that's our alumni. As Mayor Frey said earlier, and a lot of people have already touched on, our alumni are everywhere. After 20 years, we've got more than 20,000 alumni out there. And so we, through a generous grant from the Minneapolis Foundation last year, were able to reignite the work to find some of those alumni and to connect with them and engage with them. And so last year, we were able to connect and build a group of over 3,700 alumni who now are in our communication stream. We've built out some LinkedIn communities. We have a lot more social media going out, and we put together some events that alumni have participated in and are advising on. So I'm super excited to be able to do that work. We'll continue to grow that work, and we're doing that in partnership with Connext MSP as well. So I'll share out more of that. But one thing I do want to put out there, and hopefully you guys can see this, is we've also created some super fabulous cards that I'm wanting to arm a lot of people with, but it's a quick card that you could have, in your wallet. It has a QR code. So if you do come across alumni, and I do it all the time, you can hand them this card. They can scan the QR code. They can self-report where they are now, what they're doing. And so if you would like a stash of those cards, drop something in the chat. I can get some to you, but we'll get them out through our partners as well. So, what we learned from our alumni engagement piece was that, it was no surprise to us that our alumni have gone on to do just amazing things. We have alumni who are lawyers, engineers, teachers, legislators, business leaders, nurses, doctors, company owners, social workers, firefighters, you name it, right? Everything you can imagine. So shortly, you'll hear from a panel of some of our alumni as they share their stories. I think you'll find it inspiring. I think you may get goosebumps. I know that every time I meet or hear from an alum, it makes me realize the importance of not only the work I get to do every day, not have to, I get to, but how important it is to bring Step Up to our youth and to our community. So as an employer, to bring Step Up interns into your company is the most amazing opportunity you can offer. You make Step Up happen. And those youth use those opportunities you provide to build their careers and to find their dreams. Thank you, employers. And now I'll hand it off.
Do I get the floor right away?
You do.
Excellent. Good morning, Jonathan Weinhagen, President and CEO of the Minneapolis Regional Chamber, and a really humbled co-chair of the Step Up program. I tweeted this morning, this is literally one of my favorite events of the year. So excited to be with all of you and grateful that you took a little bit of time. Want to give a quick shout out to Reba, James, Scott, all friends, and more importantly, really critical corporate partners in this work, champions of our youth, champions of this region and our community. We can't do this without them. So grateful for their insights. Also want to acknowledge the incredible team, Ashley, Tammy, Jeremiah, the Achieve Twin Cities team, everybody who behind the scenes and in front of the scenes is doing this work every day that RT and me and the mayor and others get to go champion as well. But we know that day in, day out, oftentimes more than 40 hours a week, you're doing that work. I've often quipped at this event that someday I will work for a Step Up alum. And true story, my next coffee is meeting with a potential board member. And as I read through the CV and the resume, they have Step Up in their resume. So there's a high probability that by the end of the day, I will literally be working for a Step Up alum. So I couldn't be more excited to facilitate this conversation and hear from folks who have been a part of it. I also know that we're running a little bit behind schedule, which I think was part of Ashley's architecture of this great event. Because if you've been to a chamber event, and a shameless plug, you should if you haven't, we always end them on time. So we're going to land this plane. I'm excited to dig in. So I'm going to welcome Ashley, Jordan, and Mike, my partners in getting this program running. So I'm going to do a quick introduction of each of you. I'm thinking 30 seconds. Give us your name, where you're at, a little bit of your Step Up background, and we'll start with Ashley. We'll go to Jordan and then Mike.
All right. Hi, folks. This is Ashley. I started at Step Up with Minneapolis Parks and Rec in the first phase, and then I ended with the City of Minneapolis City Department of CPED, Communications, Planning, and Economic Development. And I'm now at NorthPoint Logistics in downtown Minneapolis as the Director of Solutions Development.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jordan Dotson. I started with Step Up in level 1 at Target and ended in level 2 with Best Buy, my senior year of high school. I'm currently a student at the University of Minnesota, majoring in sociology of law, criminology, and justice, and minoring in African American studies. And I currently work for the university as well as Best Buy.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, bonjour, hola, all of that. My name's Mike, and I have been a part of Step Up since 2013. I started at Youth Care, and I ended at the Metro Transit. And I currently work as an electrician at General Mills, and I went to Dunwoody College and got my associates in applied science.
All right, welcome. Grateful that you all took the time this morning to share some of your experiences. Full disclosure, our whole panel got sent the Step Up background, and I could not figure out how to upload it into the Zoom link. So maybe I'm showing my age a little bit. Jordan, we're going to start off with you right away. Would love to hear a little bit about how your internship made a difference, as a high school student, as you started to think about exploring careers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So fun fact, Jonathan, I actually started Step Up my summer before my freshman year of high school. So still a middle schooler, kind of. I'm aging myself a bit, right? So I started working with Best Buy, I want to say my sophomore, junior year of high school in their legal department. And I think we've got some Best Buy staff on this call. So hi to all of you. And when I was in high school, I was kind of involved in everything. I did the arts, I did theater, but I also did debate. And so working with Best Buy really let me explore the legal field a lot, and kind of gave me a passion for law, ethics, and compliance, is where I am right now. And so my time with Best Buy, where I worked with Step Up for, I want to say about 3 years, and I currently am intern for Best Buy with their program through college, has really gave me the experience and the opportunity to further explore law, and really cemented that I want to work in compliance and ethics. And if I can work with Best Buy still, it's been a great opportunity for me.
That's awesome. Mike, we talk a lot about mentors and supervisors, and we heard that in the last panel. Oftentimes this is impactful on the people who are mentoring and supervising as it is on the intern. Can you speak to a mentor or supervisor that you worked with and an impact that they had, and whether or not you're still in touch with some of those folks that you worked with?
Oh, 100%. I just was actually talking to Hamza Musay, my latest mentor, yesterday. And I can name all of my mentors from Pahua to Laura Moulton at Comunidades Latinas Unidas en Servicio, and then Pahua, of course, at Youth Care, which is now disbanded. But those people gave me my start. I love them, I cherish them, and they looked like me. They were people of color, and it was very important for me at the time to be mentored by people who looked like me, because I've never had that opportunity before because of the lack of opportunity for folks like me to reach those levels, to be a mentor and a positive role model. So I actually was able to have the opportunity to turn around and be that role model in a similar way when I finished my my step up career and went into the workforce. I actually turned around and worked for my first employer at Step Up, which was Youth Care. And it gave me the opportunity to teach kids just like me, pretty much in my same steps, which I think is kind of what life's about. So I really appreciate the opportunity that my mentors gave me and the positive role models that I had in my life, because there's a lot of negative ones out there if you're an idle hand at a young age in any major city, but in Minneapolis too. So I appreciate them so much.
That is awesome. Ashley, we all have what ifs in our lives. As you think back, what if you hadn't been part of this program? Where do you think you would be? How would things look different for you?
And Jonathan, this is probably one of my favorite questions because the answer requires so much humility. I can probably say for certain I would probably not be a college graduate. In my last year of Step Up, my mentor and I, Rose Lindsay from the city of Minneapolis, really helped me refine my essays, which got me the Gates Millennium Scholarship, which is a full ride to any United States university through your undergrad with potential to your master's and your PhD. So I can say for certain, I would definitely not be a college graduate. And, and it just comes with a lot of social stereotypes and pressure, right? As a POC and as a woman, there's a lot of what ifs, but at the end of the day, I'm grateful for Step Up. It definitely made a change, and we are here today because of it.
That is awesome. The next question's for every one of you. And it's if you could give us one key takeaway or experience that you had, could you share that, and could you do it in 30 seconds or less? And we'll start with Mike.
I had the opportunity to volunteer for a full summer, which gave me a lot of humility at various places, whether that be Feed My Starving Children, et cetera, and so forth. A lot of opportunity to not only look up, but to be able to look down and be grateful for what I had. That was a very positive experience that I hold dear to my heart to this day, and it kind of humbles me when sometimes I get into my head and I think that the problems that I have now in life are too big. I remember those times volunteering for folks who had less. So that's
awesome. Ashley.
All right, 30 seconds. My key experience is definitely my entire internship of 2 years at the city. The folks there have just been so overwhelmingly kind and, was filled with the patience that a young, teenager needed to become what she is today. So that is probably my greatest.
Amazing. And Jordan?
It's hard to pick just one, but I think something that stands out to me is one of the earlier years of my internship with Best Buy, I had the opportunity to do an eviction expungement clinic in North Minneapolis, where I'm from. And that was a really great opportunity just to go back to my neighborhood and help out the people there, especially considering that I think about 4% of lawyers in Minneapolis are Black, and I'm sure even less are Black women. So getting that chance was really great.
Amazing experiences. So last question, rapid fire. And largely because I think I saw in the chat that RT was going to try to one-up me, and he's closing this thing out. So I'm gonna help him along. I'd ask each of you, because you've got 100 employers, captive audience today, who are all thinking about continuing to be an employer, to maybe think about adding employees or becoming a part of the program. 15 seconds or less. What is your commercial for these folks to compel them to be a step-up employer? And we'll start with Ashley.
Ooh, that is a tough question. Let's see, my elevator speech, 15 seconds, you will be blown off your seat. It is, get ready to get caught off guard.
All right, Jordan.
15 seconds is tough. Step-up interns are amazing. They're hardworking, they're intelligent, as I think we've all tried to exemplify, right? So like Ashley said, you'll be blown away. Please participate in the program. We love it. Yeah.
And Mike, bring us home.
I know as employers, a lot of you guys are having troubles finding employees, and the children are the future. And let's be honest, they're going to replace all of us in the workforce one day. So you need to get them at a young age involved and engaged in society in a positive way. And you'll see the fruits of your labor, inshallah.
Well, everyone join me in thanking Ashley, Jordan, Mike for being with us today and for the work that they're doing in our community. And I will turn it back to someone. You
turned it back to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for moderating such a great conversation, Jonathan. It's so inspiring to hear our amazing alumni and to learn about the work that they're doing as they prepare for the future. Now I'd like to welcome a very familiar face, someone who wears many hats, our Step Up founder and co-chair and former mayor of Minneapolis, RT Rybak. RT will be introducing our Step Up Outstanding Alumni for 2023, who is a remarkable young man right here in the Twin Cities. Thank you so much, RT.
Thank you, Yakasah. And I really, really appreciated that last panel. And Jonathan, I never want to one-up you, and it is almost impossible to do that. And I don't think I honestly can, but I do have a really, really great alum here today in Keaton. Keaton, good to see you. How are you?
Really good.
Keaton, I'm going to tell your story, and then you have to correct it, because here's what I know, and it sounds pretty exciting. You grew up, had an interest in STEM to a degree, and you got a step-up internship at Leo Daly Architecture. And did you know anything about architecture before going there?
Nothing.
What did you think an architect did?
Throw balls on drawings. I had no idea really.
Well, so the story I know is you went in there and you actually asked questions, you got to know folks. They gave you a big project. And I think this is one of the things that is so important for employers. Don't undersell what these interns can do. They asked you to do some research on the computer-aided design program, CAD. And you did that. You gave them the recommendation. They made a $14,000 purchase from you. Am I right on that one again?
Yep. At that time, I was with the engineers at Leo Daly, testing out their new software for them.
So when you got a big project like that, you'd never done that before. There's something called imposter syndrome, which we all have, including those of us who are in our 60s. But at that moment, did you think I can do this? Or how did you have the confidence to take on this big research project?
I had a really good mentor and he encouraged me, and I just knew I had to do it. So I went for it.
Oh, that's great. Well, as I understand the rest of the story, you went back for another year. Your mentor had left, but then you went to the university, you got a degree in mechanical engineering, you came out, your mentor came back to you and had started a venture, or he'd gone out on creating a startup, and that's where you now work, am I right?
Correct, yes.
So tell us the full story.
Well, so his name is Eric Rodriguez. I met him during my second summer at Leo Daly in the engineering department. And he was a great mentor. And he was the one responsible for giving me that such large project and learning how to use the software and then pitch it to the CEO. But during my third summer at Leo Daly, he left to go start his own company called Victus Engineering. And then during my sophomore year of college, he reached out to me. He was like, hey, just want to grab lunch. So I was expecting it just to be him, but he ended up being like half his company. And while there, I like pitched the idea of like me working as an intern for him. And it worked out perfectly because I knew him already. And this was right before the pandemic. So I was able to get an internship when basically all other internships ceased to exist. And so then I started working with him remotely and then in the office. And that internship transitioned to a full-time position there, which is where I am now. So it worked out really well. And again, that all happened because of the connection I made at Leo Daily because of Step Up.
Well, giving you this award for the outstanding alumni of this year, I want to also encourage you to join Connects MSP, which is our alumni association that ties together graduates of Step Up and other places so that we can track your progress and help you stay in touch with others. So I want to thank you. And I wonder if everyone who's watching, the way we do, as I understand it, the best way to do a thank you to someone is to turn on your camera and give Keaton a wave. So can we accommodate that? People who are running this, can we turn on our cameras and give them a wave of thanks and congrats?
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, as I understand it now, I finish it off. Am I right? So let me actually, because it's kind of a gloomy day, let me take you to an absolutely wonderfully uplifting moment last week. I was in the dentist chair and I had my mouth filled with gauze and they were doing all sorts of things. I was literally having a root canal. This is going to get better. So the dentist comes in after they've gotten me all prepped up. I kind of talk and the dentist said, oh, it's good to see you again. I looked up at the dentist. I didn't recognize the dentist. And he said, well, when I was in 9th grade, I was at Southwest High School and you came in and talked to us about Step Up. And I got a Step Up internship at Allina. I got interested in the medical field and now I am your dentist. So I actually had the best root canal you could possibly have on the best program that has been the best thing I've ever worked on in my entire life. And one other example of that was when I had the real great joy of meeting the first African-American woman in the Minnesota State Senate. And Zaina Muhammad, I shook hands with. I said, I'm so incredibly excited for you and your journey. And she said, it's good to see you again. I talked to her in high school, talked to her about Step Up. She joined the program. It just warmed my heart. Mike Elliott, former mayor of Brooklyn Center, I'm having dinner with him, talking to him about all the things it's like to be a mayor. And he says to me, I met you before I was in Step Up. If you think about all of these 20,000 or more young people, and Jonathan is so right, as he goes to have coffee with somebody who's going to be on his board, we're getting out of the way, folks. But the good news is the people who have been part of the infrastructure of making this happen have continued to pass it on. 3 straight mayors have been deeply involved in the Step Up program. Jonathan's predecessor, the late Todd Klingel, was a pivotal piece of this. Reba's former boss, Richard Davis, U.S. Bank, the supervisors who've been part of it. There are a lot of things we have to reckon with in this community as we've really looked in the eye of what we have and haven't done in the past. But one thing we have and are doing absolutely as well and probably better than any other place in this country is creating a ladder of success. So I know you're on this call because you're engaged. What we need you to do is to be an evangelist within your organization to see if you can get more internships with others who we may not have ever thought of or connected with before. We have 3,000 kids who are waiting to become adults and become leaders in our community. Do what you can. This is the best program you can work on. And I hope these young people have proven why it's so important to do what we do. Thank you.